Hello everyone, it's me, Clayton, and I just finished watching Kado the Right Answer. Now, when I talk about Kado the Right Answer, you have to understand it's unlike any other anime I've seen in my entire life, with a heavy reliance on CG animation, with a focus on aliens coming to our world in a way that's similar to Arrival, and with a twist that might throw some people the wrong way. Kado the Right Answer is sure to be a series that'll talked about and discussed for quite a while, but to me, that's what makes it, in my opinion, one of the best anime series of the season. But let's get to the story, shall we? The story revolves around a man named Shindo Kojiro, or Kojiro Shindo. He's a negotiator for the Japanese government who ends up getting absorbed inside a giant cube alongside his entire plane crew, a cube by the name of Kado. Once absorbed in the cube, he meets an alien named Yahakuiza Shanina, who comes from a world known as the Anisotropic. Shindo decides to help out Yahakuiza Shanina with negotiating with humanity, as he claims that he wants to help humanity advance in any way it can by giving humanity various gifts to help out with energy and to basically assist humanity in any way possible. So the story here is actually very interesting, considering there's very little violence and very little pulse-pounding action. For the most part, it's just negotiations and drama between the anisotropic being, the Japanese government, and the other governments of the world. It's very interesting in that way because you have to really be tolerant of dialogue-heavy scenes to get into the series, but for me, I really ended up enjoying it. Mainly because of the unique look of the series. Now, CGI animation has always been somewhat criticized because the CGI doesn't look like it's really there, and it doesn't really fit well with the style of the series. But since the whole series is done in CG, and since the CGI actually looks really good, I don't mind its use in the series, as it helps with the unique styling of the series, and it helps everything look really interesting, especially Yahakuiza Shanina himself. I like the fact that he doesn't use his arms in a normal way. He has to manifest arms from his universe to touch things, to grab things, and to just do gestures when he talks to people. Shindo's a pretty interesting character too. He's very unassuming and stoic, just like you'd expect a professional negotiator to be like. And the relationship he forms with Zashanina is probably one of the more interesting of the series. It's actually pretty interesting to see how they discuss things, how they see each other, and how much they trust each other throughout the series, to the point where you might consider them really good friends by the end. Other characters throughout the series are fairly well developed too, but some might be a little polarizing for some. For example, Soraka Sky, who's another negotiator, you might see as a little immature, and you might see as someone who isn't worthy of being in the same level as Shindo when it comes to negotiations. But without spoiling anything, in the latter half of the series, she does hold her own fairly well, and to the point where she actually becomes a pretty likable character, in my opinion. So in the series, there's a lot of government discussions with very little in the ways of exciting action, yet it never seems boring, mainly because the unique idea is put to its fullest. It shows an interesting interpretation of how humanity would react if, say, an alien came down to our universe and we had to discuss things with it, and we had to figure out the alien's ideas while having the alien's thoughts translated into our language. Because Zashanina comes from a world where there's so much information and there's so many concepts that us humans can barely comprehend, and he has to comprehend it while using a human language. So it's pretty interesting to see all those things play out. Now, the twist at the end might be seen as a little bit of a cop-out to some without spoiling anything, but to me, some could say that's just because the ideas of the series weren't fully realized. Because I heard the film was that the series was supposed to originally be a Japanese film, then and that was then cut into 26 episodes, released after the film, which would have developed a few things more, and it would have made certain twists not seem like they came right out of the blue. But for what it is, I think the 13 episodes and the recap episode they have do a good enough job to flesh out the story enough, even though some things do feel a little rushed, especially towards the end. So, overall, Kado, the right answer, may not have, it may not reach its full potential when it comes to its ambitions, but it is still an interesting series that I definitely recommend that you check out. I give Kado the right answer an 8.25 out of 10. See you next time.